You can be anything you want to be. And in the next breath, he quickly added, and you will always be employed because people will always have to eat. What a great dad, and how right he was. People have always had to eat for my entire career, and they will continue to do so. We live in the United States of America, the world's largest consumption-based economy, and it has been for a very long time, and it's not going to change anytime soon. I mentioned the election before. As long as I can remember, people have called for less government spending. These discussions have been peppered with so much controversy. But the truth of the matter is, government spending is only about 15% of our gross domestic product. What's the second biggest controversy we hear? Foreign trade policies. But even that's a really small piece of the economic pie also. Exports are just about 10% of our annual GDP. But consumption, consumer spending, how much do you think that is annually? Really, ready for this? Generally about 65 to 70% of our GDP. My father was right. Americans have to eat, and in this bountiful land of opportunity, we are in love with buying goods and services. Of course, clearly understanding how the consumer feels and acts in this process is fundamental to the opportunity at hand. And the shopping experience is the key because it's always been about experiences. It's always been about new forms of competition that are born out of these opportunities. Shopping has always been a major and dynamic part of our U.S. economy with its ever-changing roster of winners and also rands. It's also heavy with memories and emotions for the average American whose evolving expectations have and will continue to have the biggest influence on our future strategies. To understand this further, let's add some context to this idea and recall a little bit about the evolution of our consumption-driven nation. In 1858, a groundbreaking event occurred. R.H. Macy changed the face of retail when he opened the first freestanding department store in the United States. In 1924, they opened their flagship store in New York City to huge crowds and lots of success. Across the nation, other retailers noticed and quickly followed suit in a move to lure customers from the downtown mom and pops. Store owners like those of Webb City, a Macy's equivalent in Florida, opened with a wide variety of good, featuring a live mermaid show to entertain shoppers. And if that wasn't enough, for a dime you could supplement your shopping experience with a dancing chicken show at the store. It's kind of like the first Barnum and Bailey type iterations of in-store theater, right? In the 1950s, standalone stores were facing increasing competition from strip centers and a newfangled thing called an indoor shopping mall. The first one opened in Minnesota in 1956. Social gatherings around Main Street were slowly being replaced with meetings at the local food courts and arcade. And I'm sure many of you Gen Xers in the room found your teenage independence taking the bus to the mall, going to the movies after shopping, or to your first job on your own without your parents. These malls embedded another level of independence and variety in retail and entertainment expectations on our shopping continuum. As the mall experience grew and flourished, shopping options also continued to expand. Discount outlet malls and big box stores in suburban areas became a part of the marketplace, providing yet another layer of competition and yet a new expectation that you never had to pay full retail price again. In 1962, Walmart began the convenience revolution, and Target quickly followed by offering massive selection of goods all under one roof. And experienced shoppers still want today. These are surely the precursors to the endless variety shopping experience we all expect online when we click open to find what we want. In 1985, home shopping networks started the living room shopping revolution. Less than 10 years later, the convenience and social interaction of shopping on the television was joined by another on-screen experience, the first desktop at home. And now it's anywhere you have your mobile device in hand. You can see that change begets change begets change. And now with the meteoric rise in online shopping, pundits point to the vulnerabilities of malls, traditional shopping centers, and retail stores. While there is some truth to this reality, statistics support the facts that the demise of the retail venue has been greatly exaggerated. The excess glut of square footage is not so much driven only by the emergence of e-commerce, but significantly by the impact of supply or excess supply. American retail is overbuilt, and there is definitely a significant structural shift underway, one that will meaningfully shrink the number of physical footprints, but one we can recognize and work with. Since 1995, Forbes estimates that the U.S. shopping centers have grown by 23%, and the total gross leasable space grew by 30%. At this same time, our population growth was less than half of this retail growth rate. The leasable space growth rate is significantly higher here in the United States than any of the worldwide economies we compete with. Theirs register at far below us in very low single digits. So clearly the U.S. is overbuilt. And it should be no surprise when we learn that 250 department stores have announced closures this year, and retail-related bankruptcies have been rising, now at their highest level since the 08-09 financial crisis. For many retailers, the combination of store overbuild over the population has meant fewer people shopping per store. Compound this mistake of overbuild with the online shopping migration, and you have quite a story, right? But remember, because this is happening, it does not mean that all stores are closing. The reality is we are experiencing a right-sizing, a market correction, right? So what's the good news in all of this? We know that macroeconomic financial matters play a large role in supporting our exhilaration over the opportunities at hand. And PwC's latest trendsetter barometers show CEOs of private U.S. companies are at their most optimistic in 12 years. It's exciting. About half of these CEOs are planning on hiring, and there are signals that wages are increasing also. The majority of business leaders express confidence that even more growth lies ahead. So what's driving this optimism? Among much else, two things stand out. First, near record high demand. Increased demands for goods and services lead the way. You gotta love this consumption-based economy. With employment down to pre-recession levels, more Americans have discretionary income. And for American people, that translates into more purchasing. And the second significant driver of optimism is investment in IT. Private companies are investing in technology more aggressively than ever. From January to September of this year, $18.2 billion was invested in U.S. data centers. And that's double the amount for the whole year that we just passed in 2016. There is a promising economy ahead. Private company executives are optimistic for American growth, anticipating an average of 7.2% gain for 2018. And on the hiring front, they expect an average workforce to expand by 3.5% over the next year, an increase 3 times that of 2017. That's great news for us and great news for the U.S. economy. All of this supports the original premise. The future of retail and grocery will still include vibrant bricks and mortar sales channel. But you have to be smart, and you have to be careful, and you have to build the right size and in the right places. And for us all to succeed with that, we all need to share in the responsibility of getting our shoppers off their couches and into our stores. And doing this requires something far beyond simple convenience or just having retail establishments easily available. It requires an intriguing and deliverable combination of great food, exceptional services, and a fun, interactive experience in-store and out. While I'm not planning on mermaids or dancing chickens in 2018, our team is laser focused on that ultimate brand experience. Now, my team has sworn me to secrecy, so if you want to find out what we're rolling out next year, you're going to have to visit our new store in Reston, Virginia when it opens in May. Yes, that's right. We are continuing to invest in brick and mortar and will open new stores in the right places, servicing the needs of our target population inside our stores and out, solving their personal meal solution needs, all enhanced with technology, with a technology-driven experience. As virtually everything can be delivered directly to consumers, physical stores must up their games. Case in point, what's the most crowded retail store you can name? When you pass, it's always full of people. It's the Apple store, right? Every Apple store is filled with customers and staff, and the staff is trained to sell and show you how to use Apple products and integrate them into your life. Think about how you can do this, how you can be a selling learning center, how you can recreate that in your store, or if you're a manufacturer, how you and your products can contribute to a scenario like this. No doubt, in order to do so, many of these solutions will require you to take calculated risk. But that's nothing new for any of us. Think about the crazy risks that we've taken in our industry. I've got a crazy one to share with you. Back in 1950s, King's Food Markets invested in something no one else in the food industry was offering. Our company was the first to install air conditioning and automatic doors. Think about it, they didn't exist in supermarkets until the 1950s. It's a convenience. It was really a big convenience in its day, right? And it was expensive and it was crazy and out there and no one in the country was doing it. But that company realized a need and the expectations of the consumers they wanted to attract. And over the years, there's been many more industry experiences. Today, in our company, the convenience we invest in is less about air conditioning and more about busy families. We know our shoppers value chef-prepared, high-quality food, and we make it available to try to get it on their tables every night of the week. We took the risk and invested. We began offering meal solutions, either ready to eat or ready to cook, 20 years ago when we saw multiple income households rise significantly in our markets, a sure indication that fewer meals could be cooked from scratch. Today, more U.S. households than ever are struggling to balance time-constrained schedules, and getting food on the table is often the casualty. The most common inhibitor? Often just being too tired from being overscheduled. Meal solutions serve a bridge between schedule constraints and family need. According to the 2017 Shoppers Trend Survey, 67% of households with kids outsource the cooking of meals to a grocery store at least sometime during the week. That's an amazing statistic for us to know and think about in what we manufacture and how we plan our stores. And it's really one we can all support and grow. When I was a little girl and my friends were asking Santa for Susie Bake ovens, I asked Santa for a grocery store. I'd seen it in the Christmas catalog, and guess what? He delivered. And oh, how I love to play grocery store, and I still do, for real. But I had a challenge. Nobody wanted to play grocery store. And in order to make my friends want to play grocery store with me, I knew I needed what today we call a compelling value proposition. I had to make it fun, ever-changing. I had to make it worth their time. And so, my store was always stocked with interesting things. And I offered rewards like little toys. I had boxes filled with surprising things like lollipops. And we created grocery store games and grocery store songs and dances about food. I know, I'm crazy. Love this business all my life. And of course we had tastings. And guess what? My friends showed up, they played, and they had fun. I figured it out then, and I still have the passion that you all have in this room to continue to figure it out every day. At Kings and Balducci's, we continue to survive and thrive because my team and I embrace that change is inevitable. And we plan for it. Because what? We want people to play with us. And as you know, the key ingredient to do this successfully is having the right people. You have to build the right team, all capable of recognizing emerging trends early, all empowered to act quickly to enable continued growth and success, regardless of disruption in the marketplace. Our organization is constructed to foster the sharing of ideas at all levels. We've created a KB Management Council that consists of key thought leaders from every part of our business. They are required to question everything and find a way to go through brick walls. We also have Perfect Pitch. It's a company-wide idea cultivation and reward program, our own private label version of Shark Tank. Both are delivering even more than imagined. But all of us must plan for change and must plan for disruption. And it's the right people who make that work. I'm so fortunate to have the right people. Do you? Okay, so you may be asking yourself at this point, besides having the right people, what other things should I be doing to successfully drive my business? So here you go, here's my final four. For starters, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I've talked about taking risk. Taking risk translates to placing small strategic bets and making them quickly. Some may fail brilliantly, and when they do, take your learnings and move on. And some will work brilliantly. Move as quickly as you can, and don't always wait to be 100% before you implement. We continually test and learn from our customers' changing palates. Our merchants carefully monitor growth trends across the industry for our long-term growth plan. And right now, we're working on something near and dear to everyone's heart in this room, the fresh impact on Center Store. Shoppers don't want to abandon Center Store. Rather, they are increasingly trading up across categories as they seek livelier health styles. We are getting better versions of Center Store products, driven by the consumer's interest in fresh, clean, and healthy. Will we stop selling ready-to-eat cereal? No. But today's changing variety is very different from the sugar-coated favorites that I had on my shelves when I was 6 years old. Number two, be first. In our society, consumption breeds hierarchy, and there is an intense need to be on the top, to be in the know, to be the first to have it first. Recognize that your consumers love bragging rights, being the one to have the new gadget, the new ingredient, the new taste experience first. What does this mean to you? Take a learning from the street fashion brands who now produce limited supply of demand items, and they have customers waiting in line to get them, only to have them show up online, later being sold for 4 times the retail, right? Be the first. 3, keep your team and their perspectives fresh. Promoting from within is a long-term strategy for my company, and we've employed it for many years, but we also value a mix of outside perspectives and have hired from other verticals that have successfully evolved to get us ahead of consumer expectations. And my 4th and final recommendation is over-invest in technology. It's the #1 disruptor over the past 25 years. When I was in undergrad school, the first philosophy class I took, the professor shared something that was confounding to me then, and I really had a hard time getting my brain around it. And I struggled with it and thought about it for years. He said, if your mind can imagine it, it can become a reality, and it can be done. You know what? In these last couple of years, I really get it. I know what that means. And as the daily advancements in technology come, it's very evident, right? Not only do I get it, I live by it. How many times have you said to yourself, my life would be so much easier if only, and then if only a day or 2 or a week later shows up as an app, right? That does make your life easier and better, as our lives just keep getting funner and better. So this same digital innovation is evolving into the food shopping experience, online and in person, during and before the store trips. But imagine the future. Imagine virtual shopping with the 5 senses I talked about before online. These can be done in-store and out. I can just imagine. The way I imagine, I know it will be, right? And I know many of you have come up with those ideas and delivered them to us. But remember that technology just doesn't mean digital online. It's production, it's distribution, it's preparation, it's fulfillment, all the things that will make our businesses much more lean and successful as we put these into the services that we provide for our customers. When it comes to food, I guess many of you can remember your mother admonishing you to take smaller bites and chew your food slowly. It's great advice, I guess. But I have to admit, I've always been a fast eater. And if I've conveyed anything to you this morning, it's the speed and pace at which everything is changing. And we all need to keep moving quickly to win. And we have to find ways to do this in-store, at home, and wherever the next wave of customer expectations take us. In closing, I must tell you, for me, it's always been thrilling to be part of this retail grocery industry. Starting with my corner store at age 6, through every step of my professional career, there's always been change. There have always been challenges. There's always been competition and new game changers. And that's what makes it exhilarating. One thing I know for certain, I found my passion at a very young age, and it is still burning and churning nonstop inside me. I'm so fortunate to work day in and day out with bright, dedicated people across our industry who share this passion for finding a way to fill the digital and actual carts with products people need and love. And I really love working in an industry that can fill a room with people just like me who share this same passion. I absolutely love our industry. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this passion with you this morning. And in the end, remember, people buy from people. It's all about relationships. Let's all sell more stuff and have a great show. Thank you.